A 4-in-1 RGBW PAR with an effects ring built in. Jerry back with that Theatrically Jerry, and today I'm reviewing UKING ZQ01338. Now, before I get into this in-depth review, I wanted to thank you all for 300,000 views of my in-depth review videos. So thank you all for contributing to that. In honor of it, I have a new backdrop here, my Theatrically Jerry backdrop. It's going to give a little bit more contrast instead of black on black, so we're going to be able to see the fixtures a little better, and it also helps support the channel. So again, thank you guys for contributing to that. Included with purchase is a full color user manual. Definitely keep this, you're going to want it. It does have a lot of information on it, such as the built-in menus as well as your DMX channel values. It also, oddly enough, comes in both English and German. So I guess if you're German, that's a plus for you. So English and German, it's kind of thin, kind of cheap feeling. Definitely keep it though. You're also getting a power connector, and this power connector is rather standard, so nothing to see here. Something that they didn't include, which I thought was a little odd, but I'm okay with it because, as you know, I have so many data cables, but you're not getting a 3-pin DMX with this. I don't know if it was a fluke with the shipping or if they're just not including them, but that's okay. If you guys have fixtures, I'm sure you have a lot of DMX cables. The ZQ01338 measures in at 10.2 inches tall by 10.8 inches wide by a very thin 4.1 inches deep. This fixture weighs in at 5.86 pounds, so it's actually lightweight and compact. This weight is due to its mostly alloy metal shell. So a lot of this fixture, believe it or not, is metal, especially for a budget-friendly fixture. So it's going to last quite a while. The front of this fixture features 18 15-watt RGBW LEDs, so a 4-in-1. The built-in metal reflectors here cause a 25-degree beam angle, so that's perfect for highlighting objects and people. There are 48.2 watt RGB LEDs surrounding the outer perimeter here. So something that's interesting is you don't see the diffuser on this. They have actually hidden it behind this black faceplate here. So it makes the entire fixture look really neat, especially when you're not using the effects ring. The effects ring has all these built-in macros and shows that we're going to look at a little later on in the review. And again, there is a diffuser strip behind this black faceplate that helps cover the SMDs to give them more of a uniform glow. The back of this fixture features a traditional 4-character LCD display. Something I liked seeing was the blue glass over it. It makes it look more unique. Right below that are your 4 buttons for navigating the user interface. They're very tactile, and they do make an audible clicking sound. They're not the smallest I've ever seen. They feel nice in my thumbs, so great job on that as well. We also have something that's interesting, a steel safety fisheye right here, and this is to put your safety cable through when hanging your fixtures. And if you are hanging fixtures above head, you always need to have a safety cable, and it needs to be rated at 10 times the weight of your light fixture. So if your light fixture, in this instance, this one weighs about 5 pounds, you're going to need a safety cable that can handle at least 50 pounds of weight. Just a little bit of information for you guys. I love seeing that they included the safety fisheye right there. So Great job on that as well. Below all of this is our ground screw here. It's a gold one. Don't really care for seeing that, but that's okay. I'd rather have ground than no ground. It's basically grounding to the alloy case here. We also have our PowerCon power in and out for chaining power. Loved seeing that they included that. And to the right here, we have our 3-pin DMX in and out, and that is for chaining our data. Something you will notice is there is no fan grill on the back of this fixture, and that's because UKING has created a passive cooling system with this fixture, so there is no active cooling and there is no fan on this. We will take a look at that later on in the review as well. Something that interested me about this fixture is that it has a Uni style yoke. Instead of 2 legs, we have one really wide leg, as you can see here. You're also getting your M10 holes here for attaching a C-clamp to, and on top of that you're getting oversized wings here. These are thumb screw wings, and they're actually really easy to operate. So I love seeing that they included that, and I actually am kind of liking the Uni style look of this instead of having your 2 legs, because oddly enough this is way more stable than a lot of the 2-leg units that I've been using. So great job on that as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and power this on so we can take a look at the built-in menu system. This does not have an on and off switch, which is fairly typical of LED PARs. So you're just going to plug in your PowerCon, and as soon as you plug it into power, the fixture is going to start up. There we go, it started up. The LCD display isn't super bright, something I'm noticing here, so the red characters are a little dim under bright lighting. In the dark they're not going to be, but just giving you guys a heads up on that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the built-in menu system. I've gone ahead and dimmed my studio lights so we can see the screen a little better, but let's go ahead and take a look at what the menus have to offer. So this is going to be a fairly typical layout for a menu system, simply because all budget PARs usually have about the same menu system. So let's go ahead and see. Our first menu is our DMX address, and you can set that anywhere from 1 to 512, so fairly typical. Our next menu is going to be our DMX channel mode, and if I hit enter we can select a 16 channel, an 11 channel, or a 7 channel. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 16. Really nice to see that they included 3 DMX profiles for this. Let's go ahead to our next menu. Fail. A lot of people get confused about this. So what this means is, how do you want this light to react or respond if it doesn't receive a DMX signal or the signal fails? When you hit enter, you can select blind. That is going to turn this entire fixture into a blackout. Or you can select hold. It's going to hold the last DMX data. So if you had this fixture at full, it's going to hold that when it loses signal. I'm going to leave mine at hold. I loved seeing that too, by the way. A lot of budget-friendly fixtures don't have that feature. CL is the built-in colors for this fixture. Instead of having to mix your own, you can select colors on board. For instance, CL1's red, CL2's green, CL3's blue, CL4 is white, and so on. They also have various mixtures of it, all the way up to 15. That's just if you're a traveling DJ or you're at a wedding and you just want a really quick uplight and you don't want to use a DMX console, you can control this on board. Our next menu is CC, and if you haven't guessed, that means color change. And you can select a bunch of different color change options here, all the way up to 7. we have our auto mode here, and if you hit enter, you can also select the speed of the auto mode. And what auto mode is it's just a built-in automatic show that you can select, again, if you're not using a DMX console. So love seeing that as well. There appears to only be one mode here, but again, you can select your speed. Our next one is AU, and this is also a type of auto mode, basically your built-in macros that you can select. There are 5 built in here, and again, you can select the speed of them as well. We have AT. Now, AT is the auto mode as well, but it's for the built-in SMD effects ring. There are 36 built-in macros for that. So there is a lot of different looks you're going to get. You can, of course, adjust the speed as well. Our next menu is SOU. That is our sound mode. So there are 7 different sound modes you can select from. So 7 built-in sound macros. Loved seeing that. You can also adjust the speed or the sound sensitivity. So sound sensitivity can go all the way up to 99, or you can drop it down to 0. And again, there are different built-in macros. NANU is supposed to be manual, but again, they can't really spell things with a 4-character LCD display. But basically, when you go into manual, you're going to be able to onboard select your dimmer. So that's the brightness from 0 to 255 being at full. You can select your red dimmer, your green, your blue, your white. You can also select your effects dimmer, as well as a bunch of other options here. So you can also do your strobe. We have our strobe here. So loved seeing that. Our next menu is test. So if you put this in test mode, it's just going to run through a bunch of diagnostics. This is mainly for the factory, not really for us to use, but you can use it. It's not going to break anything. And then to get out of test mode, just hit enter again. LED. So you can turn this LED on or off, depending on how you want it during your show. I'm just going to leave mine on. And we also have our temperature here, and this is in Celsius. So right now, this fixture is running at 31 degrees Celsius, which is cool. That's because we don't have any lights on currently. And then version is the version number of the software. We're running 1.0, fairly typical. And then we're back at the main menu here. I would have liked to have seen them include the ability to adjust the dimming curve on this, but there wasn't one. I don't see why they couldn't have included one, especially at this price point, because this is a budget-friendly fixture. It's under $100, but it is at the higher end due to the alloy composite of the entire frame as well as the yoke. So again, great job on the menu system. The ZQ01338 also features a 0 to 100% linear dimming system. Let's check out how smooth the dimmer is on this. So in order to do this, I'm going to slowly bring up our red first. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of stepping here at the mid to high range. That's usually where LEDs excel, but at the lower range, we're going to start seeing some stepping. So we have very noticeable stepping here at the lower end. Are you going to notice it if you go up really fast and then down slow? The answer is no, only if you're going to be doing a really slow dim. But I also don't really notice too bad of stepping on my back wall here. So the stepping's not going to be too much of an issue if you want to use these in a theater-like setting. It could just be a little bit better at the lower end, but again, if you're doing fast dims, you're not going to notice it. It's only if you're going to use precisely controlled dimming, because as you can see, there is stepping. Let's check out our white. Same. Usually they're always going to be the same because the dimmer is controlling all of your colors. So it's not too bad. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like on the back wall here, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So as you can see, we're getting a nice smooth dimming here. There it is at full. I'm going to bring it back down to 0. So it's a pretty smooth dim. I'm going to say not bad, especially for budget friendly. And as you can see, it doesn't look bad on the back wall here, so a solid surface, especially if we are dimming quickly. And then if we dim it slowly, it still doesn't look too bad. So great job on the dimmer. We're now going to check out the strobe. UKING has included a 0 to 25 hertz variable strobe. Let's see just how fast this fixture can strobe, or its hertz or refresh rate. Something that bothers me is they didn't put strobe with dimmer on their channel modes. So the dimmer is 1 and the strobe is actually after all of your colors. So strobe is channel 6. So that's kind of annoying, but it's all right. Let's go ahead and check out this strobe. So here we are at the lower end. Looks great. Looks like a traditional strobe light. And the higher up we go on this channel, the faster it's going to strobe. So we're at about 50%. We're going up. We're at 93. And we are now at 100. So this does in fact have very close to a 25 hertz strobe, because you can barely see the refresh of the strobe here, which is going to give you a very convincing strobe effect, as you can see. And we're going to go ahead and point this at my back wall here to give you guys a better idea of what kind of strobe effect you're going to get with this. So it's actually a very decent strobe if that's something you're interested in. Let's try a color, see what the colors look like. So here's our blue. Blue looks great as a strobe as well. So they definitely did a great job with the strobe on this. Checking out our green. Checking out our red. Let's do all the colors and white. So this is at full. It's pretty bright at full there. it still handles the strobe quite well. There's no stuttering. It's a very smooth control of the pulses for the strobe here, so great job on that as well. We're also going to check out the effects rings ability to dim, as well as the effects rings strobe. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up red first for dimmer. And as you can see, there is visible stepping at the lower end. There's also a little bit of PWM, or pulse width modulation, at the lower end here. That could be due to my shutter speed, but for my photography friends, I do not notice it with my eye, but my camera is noticing a little bit of PWM, and that is for the red as well as the green. So there is definitely something weird with the PWM of the effects ring on this, but again, not noticeable with your naked eye and barely noticeable on my camera. It's just something I nitpicked with my trained eye here, but the dimmer is actually really smooth at the higher end. At the lower end, it could have a lot better control. There is very visible stepping here, as you can see. And that's with all of the colors, red, green, and blue. Let's see what the strobe looks like on this. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the strobe channel. And I chose white, so I'm actually mixing red, green, and blue for this, so they're all at full. Let me take out one so we can just focus on one color here. So we're focusing on our red. As you can see, the strobe isn't as good as the main unit's strobe. So for instance, if I bring up white on this and do the strobe, the LEDs on the main unit look good. And the effects ring ones do match, so they're not out of sync with the strobe of this light, but the refresh rate's a little slower. So I would have liked to have seen maybe a matching refresh rate on that. But again, not bad. It is an effects ring, so it's not your primary source of lighting. It's not going to provide any sort of visible lighting on your stage. This is just for your audience to look at. So keep that in mind. Let's check out some of the built-in macros. And macros are shows that the manufacturer has pre-programmed into this fixture, so you don't have to do the work yourself. So you're going to be able to get some really quick effects. So the macro channel for this main fixture, go ahead and adjust this a little bit because it's a little too bright for us to see what we're doing. All right, so this is our main macro channel. We can do white here, as you can see. You can also select all of the built-in colors by using your speed control. So we have red, green, blue, white, and then a couple of the colors they've mixed. They're calling this yellow, cyan, magenta. We have white mixing all three of the colors, RGB. We have a unique green, some pinks, purples. So they've already mixed some colors for you guys, which is great. Let's go ahead and check out some of the other macros. So here we have our jump, and this is just going to jump from all the available colors they've mixed. So we have color jumping, and you can, of course, select the speed using your speed channel. You can go slow, you can go fast with these macros. Let's check out some of the other ones. We have our color pulse. This is just going to pulse colors. We have our color change, our fades. Let's check those out. Here's our fades. So these are pulses that they've built in. Our color pulse. This is our color change. You can, of course, again, slow the effect down on them, but nothing too unique. You're getting very basic effects for the main lights here. Where you get the cool looking effects is going to be on your effects wheel. So let's go ahead and see the built-in macros on our effects wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. The speed channel again is going to control the colors. As you can see, there's some pre-built colors here. Let me go ahead and turn that off our main light so we can see this a little better. There we go. So you're going to be able to select colors with the macro channel on your effects ring. And here are some of the built-in effects. You can, again, adjust the speed with your speed channel like I'm doing right now. You're going to get the jumps, fades, etc. And then you're going to get your really cool effects. So this looks awesome. They did a great job with the effects ring LEDs on this. This actually looks like it's chasing its tail. And that's at the highest speed here. And you can, of course, slow this down as well and get a nice slow effect, or you speed it right back up. That looks really cool. So they did a great job with that. And you can go clockwise or counterclockwise with this effect. Now we have a dual effect. This looks great as well. You can slow it down, speed it up. Here's 4 of them together. This effect looks cool as well. There's a lot of built-in macros. I believe they said 35 different macros for the effects ring. Here we have a stacking effect. Slow that down a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. So that actually looks pretty cool. Have our comet effect. We have a rainbow effect here. That looks pretty cool too. You can actually see how smooth the LEDs are, and that's partially due to how many they have crammed into the effects ring, so the SMDs, but it's also the diffuser that helps make this look more fluid. That's kind of an interesting effect right there. We have a rainbow ring. Let me see if I can bring my shutter down. You can see it a little better. There we go. That looks great. So again, just a lot of really cool pre-built shows, so you don't have to do it yourself. Something that I also like to do in my in-depth reviews is show you guys the pure colors And pure colors are the colors that this fixture is capable of making without having to mix any other colors with it. So in this case, that would be red, green, blue, and our dedicated white LED. So let's go ahead and just see the wavelength of these colors. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up red. And I'm going to stick this white piece of paper here so you can get a little better idea of what red's looking like. You go ahead and turn down the brightness so we can get a much fairer look. So there's our red. And here's our green. Green's looking great. Here's our blue. The blue looks really great on this. It's a really deep wavelength of blue, so you're going to get a almost UV or ultraviolet effect with it. Here's our dedicated white, and this dedicated white is a little on the cooler side, so it is a little bit higher than 5000K, but not by much. They're trying to do a kind of a neutral look with it, but again, the white's not bad. It's very pure and clean looking. Now, let me mix all of the colors. I know we're doing pure colors, but I do like to mix the red, green, blue, and white to show you guys what that looks like. So this is with all of them mixed together. You kind of get a weird pink white with it, and you're noticing kind of the edge here. That's why they included a dedicated white, because RGB really isn't capable of creating a decent looking white. You're always going to get that weird color fringe, and you're not going to get it with this dedicated white LED. So great job on the pure colors there. As stated earlier in the review, the UKING ZQ01338 is virtually silent. So that's due to its passive cooling system. There is an oversized aluminum heatsink plate right behind these SMDs that is going to help keep this fixture cool. There's also radiators on the outside of the fixture, so on the body, that also helps with passive cooling. So normally I do a sound test, but we're not going to hear anything because there is no fan. So if you guys really want something that's quiet and that's something that's important to you, especially in theatrical productions, this is going to be something you want because there is no fan. So I have every single LED at full right now, and you're not going to get any noise because this is a passive cooling system. Now, is that a great thing for sound? Yeah. Is it a great thing for the LEDs? Maybe. I much prefer an active cooling system because it's going to extend the life of your LEDs, but if they did a great job with the radiator as well as the metal fins here that are going to help keep this cool passively, then this is a great fixture because you're not going to get any sound out of it. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up closer. So no sound. This fixture is equipped with a built-in sound active mode. So let's take this PAR outside to my studio garage and test it out with some haze. Alright, so something I'm going to do is test out the lux of this light. I'm currently in my studio garage, and we are about 15 feet away from this back wall here. And I'm going to test out each of the pure colors just to see how bright these are. So, our red from 15 feet away is looking like about 200 lux, and a raw or Cree of 40, and the color temperature says 2500. Whether that is or not, like I said earlier, the meter doesn't usually like to do color temperature or raw when using colored LEDs. So, all right, let's test out our green. So our green is actually extremely bright. We're getting about 990 lux with a raw or Cree of 8 and a color temperature of 3080. Again, those two readings, raw and Cree, I only like to use those with white. So, like I said, don't know how accurate. I know that lux is accurate, but I don't know how accurate the raw and CCT is. Anyways, we are now on blue, and we are getting about 490 lux at 15 feet, and a raw of 36, and a CCT of 3000. Now, let's check out our white, and the white is going to be more accurate for the CCT and raw. So, let's go ahead and take a look at our white. So, our white is coming in at 944 lux with a CCT of 7,152. So this is a cool white for the dedicated white. Not the coolest I've seen. I've seen some past 8,000. And we are getting a raw or Cree of 82, which isn't too bad, but they were stating it was like a 96 Cree. So I don't think their statement was very accurate. Now we are going to look at all of the colors on at once. So red, green, blue, and white. And again, I'm not going to use this on the effects light because it's just not bright enough. But anyways, let's go ahead and see what all of the LEDs on at once equates to. So we are getting $2,300 lux and a CCT of 8,000 and a raw or Cree of 83. So it's actually significantly brighter if you're going to use all of the LEDs. So this PAR can is actually pretty decent in terms of brightness, and you should be able to use it anywhere within 15 feet, 20 being the max, and that's pushing it, but if they're 15 feet away, you're going to get a very nice look to your set here. So it was good to see that. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link in the description down below if you're interested in purchasing one of these. I was not paid for this, and I also purchased this with my own money, so there's nothing that is swaying me towards trying to sell this to you guys other than my honest thoughts on using it. With that being said, if you have any questions or comments about this fixture, you can go ahead and leave them down below. If you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel at Theatrically Jerry. I have now hit the 300,000 mark for reviews, and in honor of that, I have actually installed my really cool Theatrically Jerry background here. I'm going to go ahead and pan out to show you guys what it's looking like. Let me go ahead and pan this up for you guys. So how cool is that? I have my own backdrop now. I thought it would look better than the black on black that I've been using for a lot of my reviews. Anyways, again, thank you guys for watching, and hit that subscribe button.